Hey everyone, and welcome back to Circuit Cast with AI Connect. This is part of our hospitality series, and today's guest is Toivo Halverson. He's a hospitality tech and vacation rental pioneer with deep experience at the intersection of operations and innovation, really on the theme of all the rest of our episodes. He's the CEO and founder of Dharma, a company that blends property management with hospitality technology to improve guest experience and empower operators. Toivo has spent years helping short term rental and hotel teams modernize their operations. He uses smart systems and data to balance personal service with scalable processes. He's a thought leader in how AI, real time data, and technology can enhance but not replace human connection in hospitality. On today's show, he'll share his insights on operational excellence, the future of guest experience, and how tech can drive smarter, more empathetic hospitality. Toivo, thanks for joining us today. Pleasure to have you.
Great to be here. Thank you, John.
So, Toivo, you know, on the rest of the series, we've talked with a variety of different operators about how they operate their properties and what they think is happening with technology. And I think it's great to have your perspective where you're looking at it from the side of technology. Maybe you can start though by telling us a little bit about how you came to be the CEO and founder of Dharma. What is Dharma, and that story.
Mm, sure. Yeah, I mean, the honest answer is that was what seems to be a complete accident, at least. I didn't plan to become uh, CEO of Dharma. I was aiming for quite different things. To be honest, I was studying law, and it was a completely different direction. But as time went by, as I grew older and I traveled, I guess I kind of weaned off the idea of that, but I didn't know what to do. I did complete the study, which is great. It's a wonderful study. I think you learn a lot and it equips you with the ability to maybe do other things as well. And so I think that's so I ended up in this industry. And it was, yeah, like I said, really by accident. It was in New York, 2008, Great Recession. I I really didn't believe at all in the concept. I thought, "No, it's not gonna work." In New York City, Great Recession. I was on my, about to buy a ticket back to Norway. Things were not as bad in the Great Recession. But we did find a way, and it was actually my wife through some connection, with some real estate brokers in New York. She was able to get a hold of some apartments, and then we started renting them out, and I saw the numbers. I started helping her because in the beginning it was just, and I was one day I was watching her kind of working, and I kind of realized maybe I can maybe help out, and so I asked her, "Hey, should I help you?" And then I started kind of taking over a little bit the sales and customer service aspect, and she was more on the back end with all the invoicing and so that's kind of like we grew in kind of that was the beginning. This is how it is still, but it's obviously a little bit more now. But we both found out that we had each other's kind of strengths and weaknesses, and together we were a good team. And from there, we started building, and it was in 2012 when we actually really made the decision to go for it as a main business. Before that, it was more on the side. But at that point in time, we said we believe in this, so we went for it full time.
So, and by that, you're talking about the owning and managing of properties, or are you
Yeah.
talking about Dharma, the software company?
No. So, good follow-up question. I would say Dharma now is we're at what I would call Dharma version 3. So in the beginning, it was just us, we leased the apartments, bought the furniture, rented it, and we did everything, right? Uh, that was Dharma version 1. We did that for 10 years. Then around 2017, we started managing on behalf of others because we got requests for that. And we really liked that shift because it did take some risk off the table, and it also kind of drew us into a more of a partnership model with the inventory that we manage versus being just a tenant. So it was a more partnership model, but still using off the shelf software that we purchased, then slowly adapting it where there were gaps or different needs from our side. But also that wasn't 100% satisfactory. So it was during the pandemic that we then decided to go for version 3, where because we saw this has been a difficult industry, right, to navigate from day one. Right? And what pained me the first 10 years that I was owning a business that I didn't see a sustainable way to scale because there was so much regulatory headwind. I never could really wrap my head around how can this become a real business? Either you're a hotel or you're not. That's kind of how the whole setup is, right? And it's very deeply rooted in our society. So even though this is a very ancient model, right? I mean, trading, housing in this way started way before Airbnb. I mean, even with VRBO and HomeAway, but it's also much older than that, but more kind of happening in maybe certain establishments where it didn't rock the boat. But when Airbnb came along and their focus was urban environments, right? That's when those problems really started to kick in. And it made it very difficult for us as operators or owners of these companies to believe in the ability to scale sustainably. At least me. A lot of companies they didn't care. I mean, they were raising hundreds of millions of dollars. You name it, Saunders, and there's so many of them that are no longer here. And but we didn't do that. We didn't believe in that money would solve the problem. So we never did go for that kind of VC to become that kind of company. So when the pandemic came along, we decided to build out the tech because we saw that, and finally we believe this is the way to go. You gotta build out technology and offer services to existing operators, right? Jumping a big hoop over all the regulatory hurdles and that whole thing, because you're approaching uh, existing operations. They have their licenses and all that. So not that it's easy, but that particular point you avoid. And so for me, it was clear. This is the direction we need to go.
So really, if I play that back in my own mind, what I think I heard 10 years of boots on the ground, running your own properties, followed by some years of expanding that to helping manage other people's properties. And then 5 years or so of really taking all the things that you learned and all the things that you knew needed to be integrated and integrating them into a solution that can help other people manage their properties, right? With all that knowledge and background in place.
Yeah, help other people manage their properties, but also help us manage them from remote location. That doesn't mean that our technology is structured anything, I would say, different. Because if you think about vacation rental, it's remote already, right? You don't have a front desk, so whether that front desk which doesn't exist, whether that compensation happens from the third floor in the building or happens 1,000 miles away, it doesn't matter.
So, Toivo, just maybe draw a picture a little bit about today. What is Dharma? I mean, is Dharma's
Sure.
customer another property owner, another property manager? Or is it the consumer who's renting the property? Who's your customer and how does that play?
So Dharma right now is I think we have a couple of different segments that we are pursuing. So we're pursuing and looking at that. Let's say we can call it maybe direct to consumer, where you have people who own one-offs, one or two or maybe three vacation rental properties that they have on Airbnb and sales channels, but they don't have time. So that's where we come in. We help them. We can do everything except obviously the on-site cleaning and maintenance. So for that, they arrange for they have some cleaning person that can help, and we then schedule and kind of organize them. So as long as they just find decent people, to support on the ground, then we can take care of the rest.
So what's the setup look like when somebody wants to onboard with you? What do they do? What do you do? How does that whole experience go?
We have a call. We look at their properties. We assess what we think they're going to earn. And we tell them, but we give them our take. We can some advice, and then we basically just we launch and we using our technology and yeah, we give them a monthly report and we take care of pricing, we take care of customer service and the reservations and the cancellations or whatnot and all the requests that they have and we schedule the cleaning and we then provide them, let's say, a monthly statement.
So it's pretty hands off for your customer once they get going.
It is, as long as the people that they have recruited to do the work for them, so long as they are doing their part, then yeah, it's hands off for the owner.
Is there sort of a segment of the market that you feel, this model is best suited for? Is it, a specific type of property? Is it geographically oriented? What do you see? How does it break up?
We can pretty much help anyone from like anywhere in the world. We have several locations that enables us to operate operations operationally. We can basically help anyone anywhere in the world. But for now, we're mostly located in the Latam and the US area for this particular segment. Some actually clients we're onboarding now in Southeast Asia, starting to onboard as well.
Is it a lot of high-rise condo type properties, or is it more sort of, out on the outskirts, bigger properties? Is there a sweet spot for you guys at all?
Uh, we're so f- we so far have more, let's say, apartments and high rise, but very interested in single homes too. So this is part of, let's say, the Airbnb co-hosting model that we're doing, which is then well more of a B2C play.
Right.
But the rest of Dharma is more B2B. We sell the software to businesses and we offer the service direct to businesses.
Is there a white label aspect of it, or does it always go out as Dharma?
We can manage. Uh, we have done that, managed other brands too. So doesn't have to be Dharma.
So talk to us for a minute about, how so now you've got this company, you've got Dharma. How is what you're doing now for you personally? How is it different than what it was like to try and manage properties without the software tools?
Well, having the software is a huge difference because, well, first of all, it's built for the purpose, and some of the big issues that we used to have in the past because we built it ourselves, we don't have. For example, yeah, the operations platform, for example, we can if they don't want to change PMS, it allows us to continue to use our system because we integrate with the PMS and then basically all of the on the operation side, it's just our system. So it does allow for more, I think, a more educated scaling or more consistent focus from our side because our people, they really know our system. So we avoid them having to, there's a there's so many PMSs. So it kind of takes away the need for us to learn every single PMS out there. That's one big advantage.
And then when you think about how you spend your day, like today, when you get up in the morning, what does your day look like? And if you roll the clock back 10 years, what did your day look like?
Yeah, today in today's world, I get up and in the morning there's a team meeting online, and then after that the day moves on. 10 years ago, the team meeting was me and my wife over a coffee.
And then the day-to-day activities, are they similar or different?
I think obviously, natural progression is that in the beginning, in the very beginning, we did everything, right? You do absolutely everything. And as you scale, you kind of hand over certain aspects to, and so yeah. I mean, I don't do any on-site property work. I go sometimes to talk to property owners. That's my role. So yeah, it's much more, and it's a technology company now as well. So yeah, it's very, very different. We used to run Dharma off an Excel sheet that my wife built with some very good some advanced formulas and everything, even for ADR, what we use for revenue management and for occupancy. But I remember when we hit about 40 apartments. That was when we got our first PMS system, which was not even a vacation rental system. It was an old hotel system. But the thing is that so it wasn't ideal at all, but it allowed us to connect to the OTAs, and that was big because the moment you can have your inventory on 300 different networks at all times, bookable, yeah, it's a different universe.
Right. Okay. So one of the challenges that a perception out there is that when we add technology, particularly in the hospitality space, we take away humanity. And there's a perception that three-quarters of hospitality is the humanity. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that and how your system really, changes the game.
Hmm. Totally, yeah. I find it fascinating, and I think it's very typical human behavior. This enormous fear around taking away the human aspect, which we hear a lot about. I personally, I just don't see it. I really don't understand it. But maybe there's something I'm missing. But I first and foremost see the development that's happening in AI. It's I see only more or less only upside uh, for the hotel industry or for the accommodation industry as a whole. I don't see it being something that's going to destroy hospitality because that will it will solve itself in a way, and people will give clear indication of where the kind of border is of where there are obviously some companies that their model is as lean as possible, no human contact, because that's not what that model or the people that are attracted to that model wants. There's plenty of people that like Airbnbs for various reasons, and one of them is they don't have to deal with anyone. They don't have to pass the front desk every night and kind of say hello and feel like people. They don't need that and they don't want that. Fine. For them, there are offers. But the people that want personalized service, they're going to continue to get that because that is what people want. Why would you then? I don't see how hotels are going to be that stupid that they're going to create a humanless hotel, a humanless five-star hotel. I mean, maybe that becomes a concept of its own. Five-star, no people hotel with just robots. Okay, well then we have that's a concept. Then people who want that can go there.
Right.
I just don't see there being this force that's gonna just root out everything if that's not what people want. Uh,
So your premise is simply that, market demand, right? It's the market will go where the market wants to go. And there's, with what is it, 8 billion people on the planet, some of them are going to want, various different types of touch and interaction, right?
yeah, exactly. So I think that's what you're gonna see. You're gonna see more crystallization of different types of products within hospitality, which you are seeing. I mean, look at today. How many different types there are of kind of offerings there are, right? You have I don't know, glamping and tree huts, and yeah, you have so much offers, right? So it's just like a world out there and a fruit bowl of different things. So pick what you want.
So speaking of that, coming back to Dharma for a moment, we did talk a little bit about what types of properties would benefit most from the technology that you're offering.
Mm.
Does a tree hut, fit into that window? Tell us a little bit about that, maybe.
Yeah, I think we fit in anywhere where people might not be able to provide that consistency in the service. We can, whether it's a tree hut or it's a boutique hotel and a remote location, doesn't really matter to us. We're happy to, and because a lot of the logic and a lot of the workflow is the same. Whether it's a tree hut or a hotel, it's very much the same thing that needs to happen. It's just the product is different, but the sales aspect is not really our part anyway. So we
So
just take care of the operation.
let's use a slightly different lens, and you touched on it, right? You take care of operations. If you would had to drill down and say, look, these are the in 80% of cases, these are the pain points where we're going to bring the most value. What are those?
Well, to be very honest with you, it's that's kind of like a moving target, I feel, and we're still discovering that out. But what we're seeing is that one example where we bring value is there's quite a bit of resorts and facilities built, in very remote locations, more and more. And it's not that difficult to hire a cleaner or even a maintenance guy locally, but it's much harder to hire more sophisticated roles like revenue management, customer service, anything that forces people to really understand the technology that's involved. So those type of establishments, they need help because they can't easily get it local.
And so your software is going to step in and fill those roles, or is it going to empower somebody who's maybe less experienced to do that job? How does that work?
Well, um, I mean, we so Dharma can do two things. We can provide full-fledged systems, right? So we have one product we can with together with our partners, we can provide a whole technology system, or we can provide just the operations platform, which is taking care of the operations, depending on what the client wants. Uh, so yeah, it really to them.
You talked a little bit about the types of properties that can benefit from working with you and your team. We talked about those remote properties as an example. We talked about how the technology itself is agnostic to really of how do we serve customers in a hospitality property, and that there will be segments that want it one way or another, and you're prepared to pivot with that change, right? So help us see your vision from that platform looking forward 1 to 5 years. Where do you see Dharma? What do you see happening in the industry? How do you see all that rolling out?
So one thing we see happening is, and that's good news for us. At AI, more and more, it's going to be the positive effect on AI is going to be on the operations side actually, and so and I believe the reason why we built the whole platform is because one of the big problems that companies are facing or will face if they want to really deploy AI and be effective with it is the problem with all the data silos in the hospitality industry. And many hotels, they use 20 different softwares. And on the back end, they're not necessarily talking to each other. So there's no some companies, right, the more advanced, sophisticated guys, they have done things to kind of bridge that gap. But for most part, it's a silo issue, and you're not going to be able to be effective with AI. So for that reason, we built a whole platform that has the kind of the necessary for really being effective with AI. And so when you have that, you can much more build like cross functions, and you can link data, and you can start to really yeah, deploy AI in a way that is not limited because of data issues.
So your opinion is that AI is here to stay, and AI will be part of the hospitality industry. And I think I read too from what you said that if you want to get your operations optimized and remain competitive, you need to be thinking about what role AI can play in that.
Yeah, I think any business today needs to do that. And yeah, I don't think it's going away. I mean, I'm already convinced that AI is the next level. We had the steam trains, we had the electricity, we had the highways. This is the next level of infrastructure that it's gonna be around until maybe something new comes. But this is the next level. Yeah, and it's not going to go away.
That's terrific. Toivo, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure having you and learning about Dharma and your journey. I really look forward to seeing what comes for you in the future, and maybe Dharma will be the next big thing, thanks to AI.
Maybe, yeah. And if we're not, we're also okay with that. It's not about for us. We're not trying to be the biggest. We just want to be really good and bring value to the customers that we want to work with, and that's an ongoing process. Thank you so much.